Hey, good evening. Welcome. Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous. Glad that you joined us. I see there's a few folks on. I appreciate you. I know your time is important, and I know that if you are going through the trauma of divorce, you're in a tough struggle. And so my purpose really is to come in and speak to you and give you something of value. And I hope I do that. And I would love to hear from you. What has helped you? What is helping you right now as you go through this struggle? And hopefully I'm a small part of that. I hope so anyway. That is totally my purpose. Of course, a couple of announcements. We're going to start out with, please feel free to, I need to get rid of this banner. Feel free to ask questions, leave comments, text, or phone. So as I have clearly stated previous times, this broadcast goes into the public page, Divorce Support Anonymous, and the private group, Divorce Support Anonymous. So I want your comments, but I also want you to know that there's other people around. So, and this will be recorded and people listen to it, and I also put it up on YouTube. So be aware of that, but ask those questions, make those comments. I really do want this a conversation, even though it sounds like I just scared you off, but I do want this a conversation. So enough of that announcement. Next one, Single Moms and Family Camp, June 27th and July 3rd. I will be leading the women, the moms, and there is a whole staff of people who are going to tend to your children. So this is for single moms. Sorry, dads, this is kind of emphasis here. This camp actually was started by Bruce and Brian Johnson, who lost their father when they were teens. He was lost in the Vietnam War, and they had a heart for the those who don't have a father's influence in their children's lives. So if you are a single mom, and even if they have a dad who is involved, please come. There are scholarships available. It won't even cost you. And if you're worried about COVID, they are taking all of the precautions for that. So it's a great time to get away. June 27th through the 5th, I'll be leading the women, and we'll have a time together. We'll have a few times together if you want. But like I've told the women already, if you just want to come up and hang out by the water and stare into space for a week, you can do it. So this is a time for you to get out in the fresh air, to get away from all the stress of life and have time with your kids, eat in a mess hall, have great campfires. So join us June 27th. Connect with me. I'll get you a registration form. I'll tell you about the scholarships, so you'll have that information. Don't pass this by. It's really going to be a great, great week. So month of May, of course, this book is available to you for $10. That includes tax and postage and everything. I send it to you. Starting June 1st, which isn't that far away, it's $14.99 on Amazon. But right now, through the month of May, you can get it for $10. So shoot me $10. It'll ask for your address. I'll ship this out. And for those of you who have requested, I'm glad that you did. And I can't wait to hear the results of spending 30 days working on healing. So The topic tonight really has a lot to do with that, a lot to do with our healing and what we are going through. Divorce is confusing. It's a lot of things, but it's definitely confusing about our emotions of what's going on. And there's just so much that is dumped upon us. And that's why I call this a trauma. It is a trauma. And so just like those who go through other types of traumas, there's certain care that needs to be taken. So all of these emotions that are confusing and swirling around in us need to be explored, expressed, discovered. So tonight's topic was Name It to Claim It. No, it wasn't either. Name It to Tame It was the title. So what in the world does that mean? It means that if we're going to gain control and understanding and growth through this period of time with our emotions, we have to be able to identify them. Now you may say, what? I know what I'm feeling. And I hope you do. But you may not be feeling what you think you're feeling. For example, anger can really be sadness. Fear can be hopelessness. Anxiety can be grief. And shame can be the desire, the emotion to withdraw, to run away. So there are a lot of emotions. And the closer that we can gain understanding of our emotions, the sooner we are going to be healed. The sooner we are going to be able to understand the trauma that you're going through. One of the first day of the 30 days of healing is titled What's Hiding? Because we are so good at hiding and stuffing our emotions. But I hope and pray that the rawness of what you are feeling right now in this divorce is going to be leveraged and used for you to gain an understanding of what you're experiencing, but also of who you are. Don't waste this traumatic time in your life. Don't waste it, because then you're bound to repeat it. There is so much learning to do, so much emotional intelligence to understand that will change you literally forever. So we want to be able to name those emotions clearly so that we can tame them, so that we can deal with them, quite honestly. So we can help the impact of our emotions. So if we understand our anger really is sadness, we're going to approach it totally different. So if we can understand it, it'll help the impact of the emotions, it'll help our behavior, and we will learn to have, hopefully, compassion for ourselves and what we're going through. That's huge. That's huge. So if we understand that we are grieving, we're grieving, our anxiety is a grief. If we can come to an understanding of that, we can begin to have compassion for ourselves, perhaps for our children. But if we just keep thinking, I'm just anxious, I'm really, really anxious, and we don't dig deeper and understand what's there that I'm not seeing. What is this anxiety? What is this all about? So our approach is going to be different. We're going to see that anger needs hope when we understand deeper of what this anger means, that we are feeling sadness or pain. And I tell the story in my book, and I mentioned it a few times on here, but it just explains it so beautifully. There was a man in one of my groups many years ago, and he was very quiet, didn't say anything, said his name in the introductions, but was very quiet. And then we came to talking about anger. And he raised his head and he said, "Of course I'm angry, because then I don't have to deal with the pain. That was profound to me because he knew what the real source, the real emotion that he was experiencing wasn't anger. It was the pain. It was the sadness. So the approach is going to be different. Anger needs hope. Fear needs reassurance. It needs a different outlook. Grief needs patience and compassion. So as we explore these emotions, we can become a stronger individual in understanding ourselves and in understanding others. We can so easily just judge and label an emotion instead of really taking the time to explore it, to mine it, to find what's really there. So divorce is confusing. All the emotions are confusing. So how do we do this? What do we do to understand our emotions better, to name it so we can tame it? Which, by the way, I meant to mention this in the beginning, and that term came from Dr. Kurt Thompson, who I'm doing a lot of studying with his materials on shame. So, which is another emotion that we feel and is so deep. It's not easily understood, and it needs to be, because our behavior and what we do when we are feeling shame is unhealthy. So anyway, I wanted to give a shout out because that was not my term. I have my own terms and my own quotes that I'll use, but when someone else says it, I always want to make sure that I give attribution. Dr. Kurt Thompson, if you are interested in studying in depth shame, he's a phenomenal source to do that. So what do you do with this? What do you do with this? We have to identify, what am I feeling right now? This may take some time and some patience and a pen and paper to sit down and ask myself, what am I feeling right now? How would I explain what I'm feeling right now? And I know for some of you, this is hard work, but that's okay because it's necessary work. You do not want to go through this without getting a grasp on what your true emotions are. So what am I feeling right now? Get a paper, pen, write it out. Am I feeling grief? What am I grieving about? What am I angry about? And just begin to explore what your emotions are. And then you're going to need to express those emotions. What are you feeling? How can I tell? And who can I tell? So you need to express this. You can't just stick with yourself, because we need healing in the presence of other people. You can't do this on your own because you are limited in only the knowledge that you have. So you need to be able to express, identify, find it, and express it. Express it to someone. Who can I tell? This may be a counselor, a pastor, a friend, someone who is safe, but find that person who you can tell. Tell what you're feeling. Tell it. Talking is one of the most important things you can do for yourself right now as you go through divorce. And then lastly, be seen. It has a little bit to do with it when you express, but the truth is, we want to be known and we want to be heard. And we are going to give every excuse not to be, because of our pride, because of our shame, because the hard work and it being uncomfortable. But in the deepest part of our heart, we want to be seen. And we want to be known, and we want to be heard. So how can you name it to tame it? I gave you 3 steps. Identify it, write it out. Express how you're feeling. Be seen. Be seen. Again, the divorce is as painful as it is powerful. Don't miss the opportunity to learn about yourself as you go through this experience. You have a lot to learn, and you have so much potential to find. But first, we've got to get through the rough stuff. That's what we do in support group, is we deal with the emotions. We talk about the emotions, and you hear other people talk about their emotions, because it is so important that we do. Because emotions suppressed come out in other ways, unhealthy ways, that hurt us and hurt others. I hope this has been of help. I hope this has added value to your life and your journey as you go through the trauma of divorce. Kathy Beatty, Divorce Support Anonymous.